Okay, everybody, welcome to the Ask Robert J. Russell radio show and podcast. My special guest today is Debbie Cunningham, coming in from beautiful Texas. Good morning, Debbie.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm good.
I love the ground glasses.
Thanks. I'm groovy, huh?
So, are you working at your office today?
I am.
And where is your office located?
I am in beautiful San Angelo, Texas, about 100 miles east of Midland, Odessa,
Okay.
and also about 100 miles southeast of Abilene. So maybe that helps people figure out a kind of better perspective of where I'm located.
Okay, right. And so tell me, how long have you been in the insurance business?
I've been in the business officially since 1995 when I opened my first office. But I worked in the insurance-related field when in my previous career with what was at the time GTE. We worked in the employee benefits section doing pensions and their group health policy coverage.
And why did you decide you wanted to sell insurance?
Well, after I left GTE, my career took me to work for the local hospital, Shannon Medical Center. And at that time, my position was employer liaison. So I worked between our in-house partnership with HMO Blue, which is a Blue Cross Blue Shield product, and the Shannon Hospital. So my job entailed traveling about a 10-county perimeter of San Angelo, marketing the HMO Blue product. And my problem was my job involved getting the employer interested in the product and then matching them with an agent that could actually go out and sell and deliver the product. My problem at the time was getting agents to be proactive enough to take the lead and actually work it. So after several months of being a road warrior and not getting a lot of, instant gratification with the broker community, I decided, hey, I can do that part myself. So
right.
I just decided I'd do that. So I got licensed after having about 10 to 15 years experience with the terminology and the insurance premises. I just decided I could do that. And so I first started out doing group benefits, health particularly, group life, and ancillary products. And then I decided diversification was the key to success. And that's when I added the property and casualty lines to my portfolio.
So how many states are you licensed in?
Currently just Texas.
Okay. And was there like a very deciding factor that made you decide to get in the insurance business? I mean, was there something that just said, I've got to do this?
Well, I liked it. I've been in it for so long. And on the consumer assistance end of it, not so much the marketing. When I was at GTE, that's what we did. We helped them get claims paid. And it was a very gratifying experience. So I felt like it was a natural progression of my experience. And I really liked working with the employer market as well, because even though the insurance business is very competitive, I found out that a lot of agents are not as quick to respond as maybe they needed to be. So I was going to change that. My philosophy was answer the phone, make the call, do whatever it takes to put the business in position. And sure, you win some, you lose some, but being responsive to people has worked out good for me my entire career.
So what do you mostly sell right now?
It's pretty much still a diversified mixture. I do predominantly auto and home, but I still have a pretty large book of group health accounts. And now that I have a plentiful market that's competitive, my main goal is to go back to all those group accounts and try to write their commercial lines as well.
Right. And there's so much you can do from group insurance.
Yes, each one of those employees has a house and a car and life
insurance. Everything. I mean, there's so much you can do. I started doing group insurance when I first started, and that just opened up so many doors.
Yes, we do. We've had to, over the years, deliver a couple of large death benefits, not related to the group plan, but we've also had to take several phone calls from employee spouses wanting to know if there is something, hoping there is something. And a lot of times there's not. The employer wanted to save those $10 to $15 a month and I don't always understand it, but a lot of times having to tell them no, unfortunately, there's nothing out there, then, it's pretty disheartening.
I want to play a little game. You like games?
Sure.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to say a word, and I want you to tell me the first word that comes to your mind, but I want you to keep it insurance related. So there's
Okay.
a little twist. It's got to be insurance related.
Okay.
Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready.
We're going to see how fast you are at this.
Okay.
Family,
Life,
death,
funeral,
hearse,
funeral,
health,
security,
prescriptions,
high cost,
business owner,
liability,
car.
hail,
What?
hail.
Hail. Oh, hail. I forgot Texas. There's a lot of hail.
Yeah.
Roof.
Replacement.
Replacement cost.
Yes.
Yes, that's the first word.
Yes. Hopefully it's yes. You don't want to tell anybody no, you don't have replacement cost. You'll have to leave town if you do.
Disability.
Insurance.
Hold on. There was another word that I had in mind. Medicare.
Affordable.
Senior.
Final expense.
Interesting. Okay. How'd you like that game? Was that
I
tough?
like that game.
Okay. You want to do it again? No,
Sure.
it's not good. No, I don't want to do it.
I haven't had but one cup of coffee, so I did pretty good.
Oh, yeah, you did real good. So when people go to your website, tell me the name of your website real quick.
It's www.debbieins.com.
Okay. And I've looked at your website. You got a great website. I love your website.
Thanks.
It's very to the point. It's very easy to manage. If somebody were looking for, say, car insurance, how difficult would it be for them to go to your website and get a quote? Do they have to enter all this crazy information? Tell me what's involved if somebody wants a quote on car insurance.
We have several different options. We can have just a contact us form that they can put in their name, address, email, however they prefer to be contacted. We also have do your own quote, consumer facing portals. So they want to sit there and figure out how to do their own quote and not talk to an agent. They can do that.
Is that hard to do?
It takes a lot of time. Most people don't want to do it.
So when you say a lot of time, how much time is involved?
Just the amount of time to key in. You got to go find your VIN number. You got to look at your insurance policy to figure out what kind of coverage you want. So it does take considerable, not actually keying it all in, but gathering all the info to put it in correctly. And most people I've talked to have no idea when I ask them that, what coverage they have. So I usually do a combination when I do a quote. I do the state minimum, and then I do several limit sets that are higher. And I found that the 500, 100, 500 is even cheaper than the lower limits sometimes with one of my carriers. So it's an easy sell when you can sell more for less.
So how many companies can you quote for car insurance?
As many as I can put in my rater.
Which is about how many?
Unlimited.
Okay.
I don't quote that many because there's some predominant carriers. I've found that Nationwide, Safeco, Dairyland, and State Auto are the primary ones that I use currently.
Okay. So on homeowners insurance, what would somebody be looking for when they want to quote on homeowners insurance? What's the most important thing for them to consider?
The coverage amount and the fact that they want enough to actually replace their dwelling, not just what they paid for it. A lot of people get market value and replacement cost totally confused. And I have seen people that get a cheap quote and then they find out later, well, yeah, you got it cheap because it was an actual cash value policy. And by the time they get hit with depreciation and deductible, they don't have enough to fix that roof or, whatever the problem might be. Or another common occurrence in San Angelo is people don't understand that rising water is not covered by a homeowner's policy. They think that if it came out of the toilet, that it's part of the homeowner's coverage.
So you've got a loan officer that sent you a lead. They've got somebody that's fixing to close on a loan. the loan is for 270, but yet the house was appraised at 325.
Yes.
What are you going to do?
I'll tell them that replacement cost is, and a lot of times our replacement cost, depending on if it's a new structure or an older structure, sometimes we have to beef it up even to get it to the sale price if it's new construction, because a lot of value is placed on the land, but the mortgage lender only cares about that there's enough to meet that loan obligation. So sometimes on new construction, with the cost of construction is what it is right now, we have to actually go in there and increase some of the features of the home to get it to that contract price.
Right. When I have done quotes in the past on homeowners insurance, I see some of these insurance brokers that are lowballing people,
Yes,
and they're doing less than 50% of personal property from the dwelling.
we
So
see
they're
that
giving
real
them
often.
like 30. So in other words, if the house is 100,000, they normally should get 50,000 on personal property. I've
Yes.
seen some brokers that are putting like 30,000, 25,000 on contents. How do you address that situation when you're looking at somebody who's looking for the cheapest rates possible, and they're looking at a quote for less than 50% on personal property?
That actually has happened a lot. The company I used to work for would traditionally have agents send out, I can insure your home for X number of dollars. They don't give them the dwelling amount or any amount like that. They just give them the premium. I've actually had customers bring that in and say, why am I paying $1,500 if Joe Schmo over here can do it for $950? Same company, same property.
Right.
And that's when I have to explain to them the process. That was pulled, the rates that he insured, did that quote for was no doubt the amount listed as the property value on your tax evaluation. That's the only place he could get that is through the tax property site. And I try to explain to them then the difference. A lot of properties in San Angelo, it's probably not unique, but the tax appraisal office does not go in and reevaluate properties every single year. In fact, there are some neighborhoods where there hasn't been a lot of sales activity that the properties haven't been reevaluated in probably 10, 15 years. So you might have a house that's market value or replacement cost at over $1 million, but they're giving them a quote based on a value that's 10, 15 years old. So it's part of the education process.
What about these insurance agencies that are quoting an HO8 when it should be an HO3?
Well, most of the time, if it's a new purchase, your mortgage lender is not going to let that go. But we still have some cash buyers, and so that's not your line of defense. You don't have that line of defense unless you're using an attorney. So, and a lot of people think they're saving money by not using a real estate broker, and they also find out that they didn't have a survey done. So a lot of times there's boundary issues that come up after the fact.
Right. I think the thing that's helped me in the PNC world is that I do have a real estate license.
Definitely.
I have a real estate license in Texas, and I'm selling PNC in Texas. So I understand probably more than realtors
Yes.
of what actual value should be.
Yes.
Where a lot of realtors have no clue. They don't even know what a deductible is.
Right. That's true. I run across that a lot.
So talking about realtors that you deal with, do you get a lot of business from the realtor community?
Not right now. Partially because back to education. A lot of them don't realize that I'm no longer with Farmers Insurance Group, and I have quoted several of them in the past, and we were so out in left field that it was not even feasible. But now that I'm with Safeco, part of my marketing is through Facebook, and I have added a lot of fellow realtors, and hopefully, eventually, you still have some in a small town like San Angelo. A lot of them feel like maybe you're double dipping by doing insurance and real estate. And so there's a little competitiveness there. I don't know that I'll ever break through that wall, but that's a challenge I've got.
Right. Looking at the lender community, mortgage lenders, loan officers, mortgage bankers, mortgage brokers, are you reaching out to them for them to call you whenever they've got a home loan that they're dealing with for quotes?
Now, I got to be honest, I haven't done that and I need to. It is something I need to do.
Um, Talking about homeowners insurance, when you're talking to somebody about homeowners insurance, and let's say that they're insuring their house for say 500,000,
Uh-huh.
do you bring up life insurance into that
Yes.
conversation while you're talking to them about homeowners insurance?
Yes, and Easy Links, my rater and my client management system has made it even easier to remember because they have the back nine link on my quote page.
Right. So
So,
tell me how that works for the
uh,
average person.
okay. Usually when I do the quote for the homeowner's policy, I automatically email them the life quote at the same time.
And how do people perceive that you're kind of giving them more than what they asked for?
That's kind of a new feature, and I like it being on autopilot because usually we all have so many things going at one time we forget the life portion.
Right.
Now, a lot of times our younger buyers don't think they need it. They don't realize the advantage. They say, I've got a lot of other insurance. So, it's still not an easy sell. It's not a slam dunk.
Right.
Everybody that's young thinks they're bulletproof.
Oh, yeah, true.
Mhm.
Um, oh my God, I had a good question for you and I forgot already.
Lost it?
I did. I lost it. Going back to the life insurance portion, a lot of people think that they don't need the coverage. They're not going to die. They're invincible. Um, they're Superman. How do you deal with people that tell you, I'm going to hold off on that right now? I don't need it. I'm trying to close on a home loan. Let's do that later. What would you tell somebody who gives you that objection?
I try to relate to them some of my past experiences. I have a lot of people that call me for life insurance, but unfortunately, they've waited until they have several diagnoses they're dealing with and taking a lot of medication. I had well, not a young lady, but she's 62, called me the other day for health life policy. The problem is she'd been to some website and thought she could get it for $18 a month. And I said, well, that may be. I can't tell you it's not true, but
Was
I've
that for
already,
$3,000 worth of coverage or something?
yeah, it has to be. It would have to be at her age, but a lot of these TV ads tell you, promise you, guaranteed coverage, but they don't elaborate. So anyway, I said, well, go ahead and check it out. It was something through AARP, which I'm a member of too. So I went to the same site and quoted it. So I knew what she told me couldn't have been correct. But I explained to her and I said, if that doesn't work out, call me back. Well, she called me back last week and she's got several major issues and a lot of expensive medication. So I did some of the other quotes for her and she was going to come in, but she was too sick to come that day. But the problem is by now, she's got all those diagnoses, issues and medication. So we're looking at probably a graded life plan. And I told her it would be nice
Explain to
to.
people what a graded life plan is.
A graded life is a guaranteed issue. There's no medical exams. You answer a few questions, and if you survive the first 2 years, it pays the face amount. If you don't survive the first 2 years of the policy, they will pay you back or your beneficiary back the amount of premium plus a nominal interest fee you've accumulated. And a lot of times, it's not enough to pay for a burial, but it is enough to pay for like a cremation or so it's no money lost. And if that person does survive the first 2 years, then it will pay the face amount. So for some people that have chronic illness codes, it doesn't have to be not immediately affect their mortality, but their chances are not as good as someone who doesn't have that diagnosis. So the rates are going to be higher.
You see a lot of insurance companies that are offering bundle quotes. You get your homeowner's insurance and you put your car, it's going to be cheaper. How do you
Yes.
feel about bundling?
Well, it's always good. In fact, most of the business I write, I don't write just the auto or just the home. I've got some carriers that will do one or the other, but most people want and expect to be able to put them all at one place for simplicity. So being able to add life to the policy is, it makes sense to have it all in one spot.
I remember years ago, State Farm was after me big time And I was getting real close to going with State Farm. And I decided at the last minute not to. And I asked him, and one of the main reasons is I called the guy who was my insurance agent for car insurance and homeowners. This is before I got my PNC license. And I said, tell me what you know about State Farm. He said, State Farm is a great company. He said, but their rates are so high. How
Yes.
in the world are you going to compete against independent agents? I said, if you're paying, he goes, if you're paying $2,800 a year with State Farm and you can get it through somebody like Safeco for $1,800, why do you think somebody's going to want to pay $2,800 a year? And that was the deal breaker for me. You know, just by him breaking that down for me, it made
Yes.
me realize that just because you've heard of a company doesn't mean that they're the best. And
Very true.
I tell people now, usually some of the best companies to go with are the ones you've never heard of
True.
because they're not spending premiums on advertising.
Yes.
And that's what people need to understand is that going with a company like Dairyland, Safeco, Nationwide, those companies don't spend a lot of money on advertising. That's how they can keep their costs down.
When I was with Farmers, we did a hefty surcharge on people over 70. I mean, it was significant. And last week, I was able to ride a 93-year-old. She's very active, she's very alert. I'm sure she's a good driver because she was an astounding woman. But we wrote her auto and her home and saved her $1,293 a year.
That's
That's the
big
average.
for a
Yeah.
70-year-old.
Yeah. Oh, she was 93.
Yeah, 93. That's even, yeah.
Yeah.
But still, you know, being on a fixed income,
Yes.
probably just Social Security, maybe retirement.
The average on when I move anybody from a standard carrier like State Farm, Allstate, or Farmers has been about $1,000 annually that I saved them.
What I think is interesting is that Allstate is one of the companies that I'm now quoting with.
Oh, really?
They've opened it up to the independent agents because
Yes.
I guess the brick and mortar buildings aren't doing as well as the independent agencies. And
Yes.
there's a place that I go to every day, and right next door is an Allstate building. And I went in and I said, just for curiosity, I said, I have an insurance agency. How much are you paying for rent here? And he said, I'm paying $6,000 a month. $6,000 a month
Yeah.
to sell with State Farm. Now, I work out of my house and I can sell with State Farm. Same thing he's selling without having to pay the $6,000 a month rent.
Right.
It's insane that these people think that they need an office to sell insurance.
Some carriers require that you have a storefront.
Oh, I know. Like Safeco is one of them.
I didn't know if they'd changed. They can't really hold you to that anymore because they've sent all their employees home.
Right.
Work from home.
Right.
And they told me that they're not going to renew their lease on a lot of their commercial buildings for that reason. That's going to be their game plan from now for the foreseeable future.
See, I'm thinking, in fact, one of the videos that I made on YouTube was my 2020 predictions.
Uh-huh.
And I'm already seeing, I made this back in March, and I'm already seeing these predictions that I made are coming true. One of the predictions that I have is that these retail places that have had businesses in retail will eventually, instead of shutting it down and tearing that building down, if they were smart, what they would do is they would turn it into housing, make those buildings apartments. I mean,
Probably right. We have a commercial. It was built originally to be a retail about 500 feet from my office, and it wasn't filling up. It sits off the road so far that it didn't have good visibility. That's exactly what they did. They went in and turned it into short-term rentals, and it's been full.
And they're making income off of it.
Yeah, instead of it sitting there vacant.
It makes absolutely no sense to have a building that's been vacant for years, not receiving any income from it. In fact, there was an office right by the beach that I was looking at. And so I called the owner of this office and I said, how much is your rent? And he told me, and I said, would you consider a less rent? And he said, no. I said, so since I've been here, which is almost 4 years in Panama City Beach, Florida, this place has been vacant. You would rather it be vacant than take half the rent of what you're asking. He goes, yes. I said, dude, you're brilliant.
Well, not only are they not getting any rental income, it's higher insurance rates because it's vacant.
Right, because it's unoccupied. Exactly.
Yeah. So.
Exactly.
And I don't know what the city does, but here for a while in San Angelo, I think they've changed it. They were charging you less on taxes if it was rental income. I don't know what they do when it's vacant.
So let's go into the taxes situation here. A lot of people don't realize that benefits from life insurance proceeds are not taxable. Have you ever come across that where somebody will ask you, well, if I take out $1 million, do my heirs have to pay taxes on that? Does that question ever come up to you?
Not really. No. In fact, when I delivered a $2 million death benefit, people react weirdly sometimes. Her husband was a physician and took care of everything, insurance, home, everything. And when he passed, she took over everything. And immediately she changed her CPA, her financial planner, and her insurance agent. You know, usually that brings loyalty, but it didn't work in that case. Who knows the background?
Something must have happened that she didn't like.
Well, no, this happened immediately after she got her money.
Wow.
I think she was just distrustful because her husband, there was more going on in the background. I don't even know why.
Right.
For him to have committed suicide, there was a lot of stuff going in the background that nobody knew.
One thing I've learned, there's 3 sides to every story. His
That's
side,
true.
her side, and the real side.
True. Probably true.
Well, Debbie, we are almost out of time. If you would, for the people that are watching this video and on YouTube and will hear it on the podcast, tell everybody your name, telephone number, email address, website, how they can reach you to buy lots and lots of insurance from you.
All right. Again, my name is Debbie Cunningham. I operate in San Angelo, Texas. My website is www.debbiecins.com. And my email is debbie@debbiecunningham.com.
Groovy. Well, Debbie, thank you very much. Have a great day today. And when those millions of income start coming in, just remember the peasants like Robert Russell.
Gotcha. Who taught me everything I know.
All right. Have a great day.
You too.